Mute. Start video. There, you should be able to hear and see me now.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone.
I can turn off my phone. I was using both.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Getting set up. Everyone except Mary Lou, is that correct? She's not on. Oh, it's the iPhone, that's Mary Lou.
I think that's Mary Lou.
Right.
So we've also got Karen on the phone.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Here's
good.
Here's Mary Lou.
Where? I don't see her.
She's coming.
Oh,
There's Leslie. Hi, Leslie.
here.
Hi, Henry.
Hi, Leslie.
I'm going to mute myself unless you need me.
All right. Okay, I think we can get started. Everybody's, let's see, accounted for here. Yeah. Okay.
I don't see Mary Lou on this list. Let's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do now. I've
There
just
she is.
changed it to speaker view. Great.
There we go. Okay. We have everybody here.
Can I make a comment before we start? Which
Depends.
is actually starting because it's about the minutes. Is that okay?
Which minutes?
Well, I contacted the Secretary of State about minute taking, and I sent everyone her response
Mm-hmm.
because there was an issue that came up about how detailed minutes need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think this should be part of the meeting discussion.
Probably.
Well,
Otherwise,
it is.
because it's
I
open,
mean,
it's a public body. We form a quorum and we're talking about things related to the commission. So we really should just discuss it as part of the,
We'll add it to the list.
Yeah. Good.
The
Right.
only reason I wanted to bring it up first was because it's about the minutes, and
Yep.
oftentimes Miriam who's taking the minutes will start taking the minutes as soon as the meeting starts. So
Yeah. Well, good on you for doing that. I always had questions about that. Okay, let's begin then. Just as an overview, we have a couple items there, and possibly would mean going into what's called executive session. However, I've yet to figure out how and oh, I see. I can turn off the recording right here, I think, which is the only thing that would make it executive session. In other words, we'd be off the record to discuss anything to do with one of the items here, the contract with the consultant, and Greg and others have brought up new issues, perhaps to discuss. I'm not sure we're going to get through them all today. Lots of information came in here today, and I'm still cycling through it. So we do have another meeting on the 5th, which means that whatever we don't accomplish today, we could certainly accomplish by next time. We're not taking any vote today on anything. So I guess we could follow the agenda here, starting out with and John, remind me when it comes to it, we have that item to bring up. The minutes.
sure. I mean, if you want to do it last.
Henry, I have a question.
Question.
If you stop the recording, can you restart it?
I don't know.
Yeah, don't stop it then unless we know for sure, because I'm going to rely on those recordings for my minutes.
Yeah. Well, shall we, let's talk about the minutes then.
Okay.
Briefly, John.
We also have to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Okay.
I thought we were going to do that on the 5th. This is from the general, what is it, the meeting, open meeting law guide. I sent an email to the Secretary of State office in Springfield, and they sent this back. And it basically says that what's required in the minutes, you know, and but it doesn't have to be a transcript. It says basically the date and time. It says the members present or absent, the decisions made, and a summary of the discussions on each subject. But it doesn't have to include everything each person said.
Well,
That's pretty clear. It's right here in the open meeting law.
and John, the reason you raise it is basically to remove some of the burden off Miriam. Is that correct?
Right. I mean, we don't need to have
Right.
7-page minutes. It says right here, while the minutes must include a summary of the discussions on each subject, a transcript is not required.
So then,
Doesn't the further language say that the minutes should be detailed enough so that someone who didn't attend the meeting should be able to understand what was discussed?
I see Leslie waving her head, nodding, yes.
20 years as town clerk, Miriam is correct. that-
Right.
So
you don't
it's somewhat
need to-
it's somewhat left up to the discretion of the secretary.
Sure,
and-
fine.
Out of respect for the concern, I hope you'll notice that the minutes for the last meeting were much less detailed than the ones I did for the first two meetings. I hope you guys will appreciate that. This is my third meeting as a secretary, and I wish you would just have some patience with me. It's a learning curve, and I'm putting a lot of time into this.
Right.
I don't believe anybody else volunteered for this. So I would be nice to get some thanks and appreciation for the time I'm putting in, and I will certainly try to summarize them. But I think when we do put effort in, it's nice to show some appreciation for each other.
absolutely.
Here, here. All right, so I think we've settled that. Which again, I would advise all of us and urge brevity in our interventions to be as clear and to the point as possible. So we don't diverge from the topic at hand unnecessarily. Is that a hand, Mary Lou?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hi, greetings. I just want to say something quick about minutes. A few years back, there was an issue with minutes. And while I appreciate the secretary and the recording, etc., transcribing what is said word for word was what was debated with my issue. And there was quite a few words that were eliminated in the recording. So I guess it's best for me anyway to go forward with the understanding that it is at the secretary's discretion what exactly gets written down. And this was before Shutesbury did its virtual recordings or whatever this is we're doing tonight. So thank you for letting me say that.
Well, I think the secretary has to do the best job possible to summarize and give as much detail as possible.
Exactly.
But humans are humans, you know. We cannot. We can refer to the recording ultimately, I suppose, but
That's true.
it's good to have this, at least a version of it that's as close as possible. And it makes it very difficult if we have to actually go back and edit out stuff that was actually said. So that's what I'm saying. Let's be straightforward and say what you mean to say during the meeting. Otherwise, we'll be playing this, you know, working off of, well, did I say that? I didn't say that. Okay. the first item, I guess, would be the CPA. I guess it was Miriam who brought this up, that the deadline, of course, passed, but there was an option to extend that deadline and resubmit something or a variation on what we submitted, specifically the digitalization project. And I guess a number of you are working on that. Is that correct?
Well,
No.
haven't really started working on it, but allocated to work or volunteered to work on it. Yeah.
That's right.
We were planning to make a visit to the old town hall, and that could not happen because the select board had made some sort of proclamation that all meetings will be held virtually. So we decided to table that research. And the point of that was to gain a total scope of the project. So once you have a scope of the project, then you take that and you determine what technology you require in order to preserve that, you know, and then you can actually start doing some of the work. But Miriam's picked up from there and gone ahead. Why don't Miriam, you take over with that?
You know, I'm just mentioning it because if folks wanted to put together a proposal for the CPA would be willing to consider it. It would probably fit the criteria and be eligible. So I think Greg and John, if you guys were wanting to be in the leadership of this, you know, it would be kind of rely on you to put together a proposal.
John, is the proposal basically to find out the scope of the project? Is that the first proposal, rather than to, you know?
Well, it's unclear what the CPA would actually fund. It says here is the project. This is the spreadsheet thing that was handed out
Yep,
by by Rita.
Yep.
Are the CPA funds for a document? And if we had, let's say, an 1820s Bible, okay, that needed to be restored, there's no question that money could be spent for that, to restore that Bible. Or if we had Robert Frost's collection, or if we had, you know, a thing that needed to be restored. At this point, for the initial scope work, I don't know if that would be funded. Miriam suggested we bring in an archivist or someone to do that, and the funds would be available to pay for that person. But again, I don't know if that would qualify. And we're kind of ahead of ourselves here, or behind, because you know, the applications are due January 5th and we've missed that initial. So I'm ready to, I mean, we have so much else on our plate with all this Native American business that, you know, I'm willing to just let it ride for now until we can get in there and see for ourselves what we're doing. But that's my opinion, just to let it go.
Okay, Mary Lou.
Yes, we we had a young woman, Van Patten, I think was her last name, Kristen. Is that correct, Miriam?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. And did she start doing anything? Because this seems like a discussion from the past when I was an associate member coming into the meetings. Y'all were talking about getting it digitized, all the documents that are in the old town hall. And I wonder if that started or what?
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you.
This is Janice. I guess I would say it's probably best just to hold off. I think we have to start from the beginning and maybe getting a professional in to help with those first steps to make sure we're headed in the right direction and know how we should do things might be helpful. But I think it's a little late to be pushing, trying to get something into the CPC, and especially if we're not sure who's going to work on it or exactly what we should say and stuff. It's probably something better left till we've had a chance to think about it some more and figure it out.
Yep, I would tend to agree. Well, let's hear from Miriam and then Mary Lou.
I had a conversation with Kristen last week because her son goes to preschool with my granddaughter and we see each other at pickup time. And I asked her about this and she said her strongest recommendation for us right now would be to contact the Roving Archivist Program and to get on their list when they start resuming services after they open things back up in the hopefully near future. So if I have the permission of the commission, I can reach out to the Roving Archivist Program and ask them what the time process is going to be. If there's any paperwork we need to do in the early stages to get on the list.
Can you tell us what is the roving archivist? I've not heard of it before.
Well, this is something I have sent out information to the commission and I sent out some handouts about the program, Mary Lou, so you might want to check your emails or you can look it up. It's a state program through SHRAB, I believe, which stands for, what does SHRAB stand for, Janice?
State Historical Records Advisory Board.
Thank you. And they have a professional archivist who goes out to communities, looks at collections and helps draw up a preservation plan for the community and makes recommendations. So they work with historical commissions. It's a free service paid for by the state, but we do have to request it. And right now their website says they're not accepting any new requests until the spring, but there is a phone number and I can reach out to them and find out when that's going to be and what might look like.
It sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, it would be nice to be able to meet though. To be there all together, to have a,
Well,
and that would constitute a meeting, I guess. So
one step at a time, eh?
Yeah.
we still have to wait till we're all vaccinated, I think.
Well, we'll see. Who knows? I mean, maybe we can do some by a Zoom meeting to start with or something. I don't know,
Sure.
but let's find out what the process is. And it'll probably be delayed start anyway if there are people already in line and we'll be new.
But that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, we might be able to do part to get the ball rolling, and then we bring in
Yeah.
the archivist.
Right. There will be one question is what do we need for them, for their
Yeah.
participation?
Yep.
Right. Is that a hand, Mary Lou? Your hand is up. Mary Lou, you're muted.
She's on
Whoops.
mute.
I'm sorry, Henry. That was from a long time ago. I'll take
Okay.
it off.
Take it down.
Yes.
How do you put up a hand?
You know, we can't
It's a
use that.
little bit-
Henry, we can't use that function because it doesn't show up in the recording. So any of the chat functions or raising hands they don't want us using, you just gotta manually raise your hand.
Manually raise your hand. Are we recording?
Lower hand. Here it goes.
I didn't think
Okay.
I didn't think video was being recorded.
No, it
It's
is.
not. I don't
It is.
believe it is.
It
Is
is. Yes, it is.
It is really?
Well, probably this session is recorded.
Well,
It's
It's gonna
I-
look my best then.
no.
You know?
No, I use Zoom to teach, and we never had video recordings. It was all audio.
Yeah.
So
No, they are video because I've been watching the videos.
Wow.
to
you've
their
watched it.
minutes.
okay.
How did I look?
You look beautiful, all of you.
So I just have to still be an interrupter because I can't raise my
Oh.
hand for you to see.
There you
Uh-oh.
go. Go ahead. Dennis. Go ahead.
I'm done. I don't need anything
You're
else.
done. Okay. All right. So let's see about the minutes. The minutes for.
Oh, sorry. I will interrupt. Are we going to vote on Miriam's request to just have permission? Do we need to vote on it? Does everybody just agree that she can go ahead and at least contact the place and find out what's needed?
Do we need to vote on that?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I'd just like to say, I would like to see sort of the project plan or steps 1 through 10 or something like that, that we can say to ourselves, okay, we can do this, or we can't do that, or this is something that we're going to require someone else to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what the roving archivist does,
Right.
is
That'd
they
be great.
create that plan.
Right. But even before the plan is created, there's going to be steps, you know, like,
Well, I think the first step is to get a professional to look at it and say, this is, you know, what are the priorities? How does it get started? How do we organize this? I think that's
Right.
the idea, John. This is a
that's what I'm
program that,
talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It's like a plan, you know,
Well,
on
that's what-
paper, kind of, that we can.
that's what the roving archivist creates, is a plan for the historical commission.
Right, but what I'm saying is we need a plan that includes the historical archivist. It's like, do we need a subgroup? Do we need a subcommittee, or is the roving archivist just going to take it, you know, or what do they need from us? What do we have to do first?
Well,
Anything
Well, I
like
guess
that.
I guess we'll find out
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
when we find out if we can even get them.
Miriam's phone call will probably answer some of that.
Yeah, need
May
to-
I, here's my hand.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
Mary Lou.
I like what John is saying, because by going to someone outside our group, it sort of alienates me. I sort of feel then disconnected in what is my role as a commissioner in this all. So,
Mhm.
you know, I like the idea of us staying connected with whoever this stranger is who's gonna come in and do this work. And best I understand, John and Greg can do it anyway.
Well, you know,
Well,
we're
some of it.
neither of us are professional archivists. So
Uh,
I can use scanners, I can load to websites, I can do all that sorts of stuff. So I'm imagining once we have a plan that I'll be able to do digital work with it.
Right.
But in terms of like professional archivist, I haven't got a clue, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for COVID, we certainly would have gone up there already, John and I, and looked into what's there. And we would have started by saying, and I think there might be a partial existing list of what's in there. No?
That was
Okay,
a
well,
false
if that-
alarm. Yeah.
Well, that would be probably the first thing that John and I would do, is make a list of everything.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much stuff is in there.
You see, you got
Well, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. Nobody has been in there. Someone has a key.
Correction, I've actually had a tour. Of course, the person most knowledgeable is right here, Leslie.
Right there, Leslie. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay, so then I take it back. I have never seen it outside of the Celebrate Shutesbury Day.
yeah,
Right.
John.
I want to also remind people that this plan hopefully has some citizen engagement, some kind of outreach to bring people together around certain issues, whether it's who knows what, okay, events in the past or that sort of thing. So doing this work, one of the reasons why it's important for us to be interested in doing this work is that as we go through some of these materials, we're going to be interested in them and we're going to want to share some of the things we find. If we simply outsource the entire job, then the education falls short and the civic engagement falls short, and so forth. So,
Well, I'm sure we can address these issues in good time. Leslie has a comment. Yes, Leslie.
Yes, I was on the committee, the Record Storage Advisory Committee, run by Susie Mosher, the previous town clerk. And let me just reassure you that they come out and they advise you what to do, but they do not do the work. You do the work. So you won't have to worry. And I would only repeat what Miriam says. There's a lot of stuff there. It's a lot of stuff that might interest one person or another, but not everybody. And there'll be a selection process. But don't worry. Anybody who wants involvement will be involved because they do not do the work. They just take a look and say, okay, you should do this, this, and this.
Okay.
Well, haven't we already had that done? Didn't we get like a piece of paper that said do this and then do that and then do this and then do that? Miriam, didn't you send out that email that had that document?
We've never had a archivist put together a preservation plan for what's in the Historical Commission's closet.
Okay.
We have that report though that Bill Carroll did that
Bill Carroll.
I referred you to, to.
Yeah. Okay, just a bit of logistics here. I'm wondering, we have Mary Lou on the iPhone, but I see also another designation here with your name on it.
Sorry, Henry, I'm doing both.
Doing both.
Excuse me, I'm doing both. My computer has no, what do you call, microphone.
Gotcha. I'm just concerned about Karen. I don't see her, and we should have brought this up earlier. She was supposed to call in. She had all the information. Right, Mary Lou?
Yes, she did. I don't know what happened.
And I don't see her knocking on the door. Is that a hand, Leslie? Your hand is raised. Oh.
And you're now muted.
Okay. All right. Right. Okay. Should we reach out to her at all? I mean, the last time this happened as well, we had to reach out to her. Does it
Do you want me to call her house?
Just to ring her? Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Can you follow, okay, Mary Lou?
Yes.
She's calling her right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So Miriam, yeah, let's go ahead and contact this archivist, put us on the list. We'll see, you know, see what comes up of that.
And then we'll make the plan.
Yep. Be fun.
It's excellent.
Miriam, you may have to just clarify that this is a different group from Shutesbury with a different set of, and I hate to call them records because ours are more informational stuff that's been gathered. It's not town records.
Right.
But anyway, they might
Historical
say,
records of a different
didn't
kind.
we already do your town? But what they did was the town clerk's records.
Good distinction.
Okay, I would ask everyone then to think about the minutes from last time, where you need to approve those. That's the next item on the agenda.
What date?
The 15th.
15th.
Yep.
And I just want to say, we were reminded by Lisa McLaughlin that we should have gone into executive session when we were discussing her contract, and we did not. So that was our bad.
I have from November 17th, it says.
I could,
No.
and December 1.
We didn't meet on the 15th. I'm pretty, Henry,
17th.
does anybody else not have them? I thought I sent them to everybody.
Yes, you did. It's on an email on December 15th at 6:08 p.m.
But the
minutes.
The document says the 17th.
Well, I have a copy that says December 15th. It was in one of the
Oh, no,
latest
this is
emails.
November 17th. Oh, I'm sorry. What
I
happened?
don't know why this is version 2.
Am I still there?
You're here.
My screen went blank. Why did that happen? Oh, I'm back.
Okay, so people do have the minutes for the
Yeah.
15th.
Yes.
So many emails.
Yes.
Let's see. It was mailed on the 15th.
I don't think it was mailed on the 15th. I probably didn't prepare it. Looks like I sent it on the 17th.
Ah,
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, yes.
So I gave Karen the information again, and she is going to try to call in.
All right,
Okay.
let me.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yes, you're
Mary
welcome.
Lou. Thank you.
You're welcome. And now we're looking at the minutes
Yes,
from
the minutes.
12:15.
Yeah,
Oh, and yes.
Okay. All right.
okay. Let's, I don't see Karen yet.
Okay.
Has everybody read them?
Yes, I did.
Indeed, yeah.
I have I can't vote on it since I wasn't there, but I had one or two little typo things.
Yeah, what?
On the first page, sorry, one, two, like the third paragraph it says discussion.
Yeah.
The last sentence got disjointed. The apostrophe S belongs to McLaughlin's. It just needs to be reconnected to the.
Oh, yeah, I did that. I read that. Yep.
Okay. Sorry. Thought maybe there was one other. Oh, on page 3, the bottom of page 3, the last sentence. Someone should be able to understand what was discussed in the even. I think it's supposed to be event.
Wait, I'm,
Oh, the page numbers may have differed a little bit because I condensed it to 4 pages. It's after the update on planning board and then the approval of minutes from November 17th.
trying
Then
to
that
find
next paragraph.
hold on, I'm trying to find it. Update, planning board approval of minutes.
Then that next sentence, Concord
yeah.
raised questions about comments, and partway down it says state OML requires that minutes should be detailed enough that someone should be able to understand what was discussed in the, I think it should be event.
Thank you.
I think that was it for all that I had for stuff. Thank you for the minutes. It was very helpful. Anyone else have questions?
No.
Someone could make a motion to
Yeah.
approve the minutes as amended or something like that if you want.
I move to approve the minutes from 12:15.
second.
Who is that?
John Walter, seconds.
Henry Geddes first initiative, yeah.
And that was with the minor typo corrections or whatever.
The revisions.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Please go round then.
Greg Colton, aye.
John Walter, I.
Henry Geddes, aye.
Miriam Defont, aye.
Mary Lukanka, aye.
Okay.
I
Go.
wasn't there.
Okay.
You abstain, Janice? Does that mean you abstain or
I
what?
don't know. I don't know if
Mm.
I abstain or if I'm just ineligible. I don't know.
Yeah, you're abstaining. You're
Okay.
abstaining.
All right, thank you.
Whatever it is, we have a quorum, so.
Hooray.
Okay, at this point, I guess we need to sort out a few things. Given that we want to discuss some issues that may be best discussed, in executive session, I want to move that we go there. So that's the first motion.
So wait, are we going to do that tonight, Henry, though we don't know what we're doing with the recording?
Well, I would just turn it off if you want.
Except that we don't know if we can turn it back on.
No, we don't.
And then we wouldn't be able to reconvene. We can't be meeting without the recording. That's
Yep, no,
requirement.
that is very true.
so.
We could always postpone it till the next time. Nothing's going to happen in the meantime.
Okay.
And it would be a moment of pause. We could look at the materials that we've got. We're all learning as we go along. And the more we look at this, the more it demands of us. So I would favor postponing it, that discussion.
What discussion exactly?
The question of the consulting agreement and everything
And everything related to it?
related to that. Yeah,
So
So
that
you-
would be till January
January 5th.
5th.
I
Which
think
is-
that might be wise, just, sorry to interrupt, I can't raise my hand. Just in the overview, usually when you post an executive session, you also have to state the specific reason. There are, I think, 10 different reasons listed by the state, and you're supposed to post that in the agenda and announce it at the start of the
Okay,
executive session.
there you go. I mean, I have a rationale for it. Read the 10 items, but
Yeah.
again, this should be public knowledge before it happens, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah,
The other
Um,
thing is too, when you go into executive session, you have to tell us whether you will be resuming open meeting. And it sounds to me like the easiest thing will be for you just to do your executive session last, rather than try to
Right.
recontact us.
yeah,
If you can, when you have executive session at your meeting, just put it
Mhm.
last, and then you can just tell the public that you will not be resuming open session.
yeah.
Well,
Because
that's
if you
what I
do
was
it in
going to
the,
say. We don't have anything else on the agenda. This is
That's it, yeah.
the last thing. So if we go into executive session now, we can just adjourn from there.
So I think you really should technically have the reason posted. If someone wanted to, they could complain about it.
Yeah.
That's- yep.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. That I just having read that document guidelines for public meetings, it's very,
Okay.
there's a lot of details there around this kind of question.
Hmm.
Moreover, we have to be clear about who else is in the room, kind of thing, and this kind of thing. Because we're doing this remotely, it gets into some details.
Question?
Question, Mary Lou.
May I ask Leslie, are you in town hall?
I am.
Okay.
I'm by myself in town hall.
Very good.
I'm working in the assessor's office today, and my 6 hours are not up. I'm taking a break to listen to you.
Thank you. Okay, so shall we agree or vote or whatever to just plan on to postpone the executive session until the next meeting?
Any objections to that? Just hear any thoughts on that? All right, so I
Nope.
think we can all agree then. I mean, I don't think.
Well,
we need
let's
to
make it a
vote.
motion.
Okay, let's make it a motion.
Well,
Let-
let me ask, because there's been suddenly a lot of interest in our deliberations, not specifically about the contract, but about who do you think you are and what do you think you're doing? So are those issues also not to be talked about, or are they part of the contract negotiations? Or specifically, I'm referring to the email that just got sent
Okay.
out.
Or they meant to be discussed in executive session or what?
Well, that was my assumption.
I think
really
that the things that have to be in an executive session have to deal with a specific individual and their employment negotiations.
There you go. So to deal with the contract, we need an executive session, but
Yes.
to do some sort of strategy talking about how to respond to public involvement relating to our work does not have to be an executive session.
No.
And all of a sudden, there's been some very potent public interest in our work, which I think needs to be addressed, but we can also put that off till the 5th if you want to.
Well, we're going to have a pretty full schedule, I think, if we're going to have to go through executing the contract and then talking about the steps, the first steps for a lease. And I think we're going to have an update on historic district signage. That was something that was scheduled for the January meeting. I don't know what else we might have.
Trees.
Trees.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, I've asked to have that put on the agenda for the Concom's next meeting.
Trees?
Yes.
Can you tell me when that meeting is?
I don't know. It's January.
Website?
It's the second Thursday, I think, in January. It's on the website. I can't remember offhand.
That's the 15th, so it's after. Okay. Well, Thursday would be the 14th.
I mean,
I think that's it. You have to double check. I don't know.
Well, we don't have to talk about trees at
well,
the meeting, but
I could give you my own observations and reactions, at least so far. I haven't had a chance to really read all that stuff that came through, although I've seen much of it in the past. It's curious to me that we have public meetings and people know about what we're doing. But at the same time, they're not checking in until the 11th hour when we've actually moved to do things, agreed to do things. We've given our word to people that we're going to do things. This is, we're in the realm of contract already. And so that complicates things considerably. And it's troubling to me, although I'm always open to outside comments and observations. It's still, I'm a little concerned, unless those folks have been a part of the process, looking at the whole picture here. It's very difficult to start issuing guidelines as to what we should be doing. In other words, this is not just about identifying these CSLs. It's a much bigger issue here. It's about making connections across different realms. Got planning board. We have the federal levels of this thing, And we basically were initiating a process in which somebody this being Lise McLaughlin, who has that kind of big picture perspective. That's why she was appealing in the first place. She's not just a person who goes out and finds stuff. That's not her function. She will admit that right away. But she has the well, the blessing, whatever you want to call it, of many typos, of many tribes. She's been able to negotiate that world in a way that most people have not in the past. And I guess, secondly, this is an initial step in that direction as far as who gets involved. This is a very first step. There will be other steps, you know, if it comes to that. And we've already talked about actually getting Native people involved in the process. And we've identified some people. Now, whether or not they meet the approval of you know, folks who are not on the commission, that is certainly input that we can consider. But at the same time, it is, you know, they're not exactly in the same process that we are. It doesn't mean to say that they couldn't be involved in this process at some level as well. Anyway, those are my general observations about it. Yeah.
We got an email. Everybody got an email. It was whoever wrote it was quite upset. Asked a series of questions. Why haven't we contacted this person? Why haven't we contacted that person? Why haven't we Those are good questions. I think we need to answer those questions, and we really shouldn't move ahead unless peace is assured.
Peace with who?
Equanimity.
Equanimity with who?
Well, with this person who's written this letter.
One person versus the various tribes that are involved here?
Well, we run the risk of being racist and bigoted, and we run the risk of being biased in our approach. And unless we can bring all interested parties together and at least find some kind of agreement, I don't know how we can move ahead.
I think that
because
is our,
it'll only get more heated.
I think that is our intention, really. It's to do that precisely. Question is really, are we going to be guided by an individual who is not part of the process here necessarily? An individual who is, well, has had really some serious falling outs with the political establishment here. Unfortunately, and I say that as someone who thinks very highly of this person, right?
Well, he's inserted himself into the process, and he's now become part of the process. Whether or not he was late is a different issue. Okay, but he's there now, and he's saying, "Please pay attention to me."
Could I respond?
Yes, Miriam, and then Greg.
And I just want to give a little background that Jim Cashett-Schilling, who wrote this letter, used to be on the commission. And when he was on the commission, I remember that we specifically invited his husband, Rolf, to participate in helping us with this process. On more than one occasion, he was formally invited. And as far as I'm concerned, he's still welcome here. And I don't know what else we can do. Everything has to be done in an open meeting setting. So I don't know if we want to have Henry respond to this and just say to Jim, you're welcome to come to a meeting and talk about your concerns with the commission.
That was one of the things I was going to suggest. I could write to him and say, have him attend our meeting, since they, apparently are not attending, or at least not that I know of, have not been following our discussion.
We can't really have a conversation by email. We really need to have, if somebody wants to be a part of the process, they really need to participate in the meetings. And they're certainly welcome to come.
That seems like a good way to move forwards, I think, because like you said, we're supposed to be discussing it, in public meeting. And so it'd be nice to have a discussion with the person in the appropriate legal setting. I mean, open meeting session, rather than emails going back and forth.
I'm trying to find the email that has that in it. Can someone point me to it? I'm really lost with all these emails.
Today's email, you mean?
There's an email that has, what's his name, Jim,
Jim
Yeah,
Cashett.
Jim, yeah.
that has his email in it.
Yeah.
It came today. It was at 10:59 today.
I will say, I thought a little bit about the email and what his concerns are. And I agree with you, Henry, about the idea that hiring Lise, we've made it very clear, I think, that we do not see Lise as being a substitute for Native voices and Native expertise, nor would Lise ever agree to be a part of this process if that was what we were expecting. I think she made that very clear when we met with her, that she believes that the authority to name ceremonial stone landscapes lies with the tribes and with tribal experts. Interestingly, one of the people who was recommended, and he's very well respected, and he's got a great book, Kurt Hoffman, is not a Native person, though he's very well respected and knows a great deal about ceremonial stone landscapes. I don't know that the two people who were recommended, Kurt Hoffman and Lucienne Lavin, would be appropriate for some of the more clerical tasks that we're wanting a consultant to do. I don't think that's their wheelhouse. They're academicians and scholars and researchers, but I don't know that they would have any interest in being hired by a historical commission to help with writing documents.
But that doesn't mean they won't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone's reached out to this Dr. Hoffman or Dr. Lavin or Sarah Kohler. All these people he's claiming have intimate knowledge of the stone landscape items that we're talking about right here. Okay, so these are, I don't know, local experts, whatever.
Well,
and he also mentions a panel. Okay, like why don't you have a panel of people who can discuss what's happening on the land? And I admit, okay, some of this might be crazy, all right? Not to say that he's crazy, but how do you proceed? How do you actually proceed? And I think we need to reach out. Someone needs to talk to these people and come to some kind of understanding before we proceed with the contract, because it might mean that the scope of the work has to change in order to make this happen. We can't talk about the contract itself because we're not in executive session, and I think that's going to come up when we do. But I just think, I don't think we should move ahead until we have peace assured.
Yeah, peace is a pretty hard thing to come by.
Well, we need to have some equanimity. I don't want to be, I'm going to be voting no if I know that there's people out there who hate me or who want to hate me for going forward with this. And I understand that Lise is sort of acting as us. Lise is going to be us. Right. And that she's going to be reaching out and finding people to interact and so forth and do all of that. But
she's kind of like our liaison.
Right, right. I understand all that, but I'm not the one who needs to understand it.
Could I make a couple?
Yes, Miriam.
I would be very concerned about in any way making a decision that would go back on our word and the agreement we voted on at the last meeting. Lisa McLaughlin has been relying upon that in good faith, trusting that the only final detail was ironing out the contract, but that the agreement to hire her was already made. I think if we go back on that, we would not be acting in good faith, and it would be unfair to her, given that she's done a fair bit of initial legwork. We would not have initiated the conversations that we've started with 2 TIPO offices if it had not been for Lise reaching out to them and helping bridge that relationship. So we're in a very good situation. I think we're poised to be able to perhaps have consulting relationships with 2 different TIPO offices. I would be concerned that those might be in jeopardy if we were pulling out of an agreement that we already made with Lise. I understand that there are a lot of people out there who have a lot of expertise, and the names that were mentioned in the email, Lucienne Lavin and Kurt Hoffman, are highly respected academics. I have Kurt Hoffman's book and have read it. I have read several articles published by Lucienne Lavin, and she is a native anthropologist, archaeologist with a great deal of status and stature as an academician. Personally, I would feel a little embarrassed contacting either of these 2 people and saying, would you like to work for $40 an hour for us to do some paperwork and some mapping? I would think if I was in their shoes, I would kind of not be interested. Or if I was interested, I would probably want to charge 3 times that. I know that some of the concerns in the letter was that we should pick somebody who has been trained by TIPOs, but is not a substitute for a TIPO. Lise has been formally trained by TIPOs. She worked for a firm that was hired and created by TIPOs to do field research. And she's been formally trained and has worked for TIPOs for 5 years, as well as working for Nolambika and being on a historical commission herself and having a PhD in anthropology. I'm not sure we're going to find anybody with the skill sets that we need. And we don't have to hire everybody, but we have to hire somebody. And one of our concerns had been that we may be inundated with projects that we need to review in a very short while. And certainly we can postpone things, but I think we will create a poor reputation in the community for going back on an agreement. And we may find ourselves stranded without any consultant at a time when we really need one.
I would add to that, we have, let me just say, I've actually seen Dr. Hoffman give presentations, quite eloquent, very, very systematic archaeological work. This is some of those, if you've ever read archaeology, it's quite boring. It's about measuring very, very fine variations and, different stratas of soil and what's in them. A person like that is just not going to be, doesn't have the interest or the facility to work around the politics of historical commissions, towns, federal laws, and this kind of stuff. I have a feeling that we tried our best. Again, this is a challenge to our own judgment as to making these choices, right? To go for Lise. She seemed like the best of the options. We tried several. In fact, there was one person who has a PhD, is working at Brown University, name of Ray Gould, a Nipmuc, no less. But of course, she's not going to take it. You know, she's got other things to do. And moreover, she has very little connection to any federal, you know, it's not a federally recognized tribe. That's where the TIPO factor comes in, right? They are federally recognized tribes. The individual in question here, as in Rolf, is not part of a tribe here, right? A federally recognized tribe. There's a politics around that. There's a politics.
He may be a member, used to be a member of a tribe in upstate New York. I don't know if he's still a member.
But we made the best call here, and we've tried, believe me. I've been, you know, I got a full-time gig and more. And we spent a lot of time reaching out to different people here. And Lease seemed to be the best option. Not perfect. Well, shouldn't say that, of course, open meeting. You know, it seemed to be the best option. Yeah, and she had all of the mix of things that seemed to work. She's very open to, you know, working with people, and she's got, you know, a rapport with all kinds of tribes, and this is where it's at. I mean, that's
Well,
the
let me just make it,
political reality.
let me just,
Well, we have a hand up here from
Oh, I
Mary
have a
Lou.
hand
She
up.
hasn't spoken here.
2
And
hands up.
then John.
but she's muted.
You're muted, Mary Lou.
Okay, sorry. I just have 2 quick questions for you, Henry. Actually, a comment and a question. Did the Rachel person ever get back to you and give you a definite, like, did she say I'm too busy, or did she ever get back to you?
She got
That's
back
one.
to,
2.
she got back to
She
Miriam.
did?
Yes.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Well, who was Rachel?
Ray
Ray.
Gould.
Ray.
Gould, right.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm calling her Rachel. Okay. And as far as
Could I just make Mary Lou, could I just make
Yeah.
a extra piece of that? Ray Gould was not available. She passed this on to the chief of her tribe. And the chief said they were meeting in January and would review our request. And if there was somebody in their tribe, in their leadership, an elder who was interested in participating, they would get back in touch with us.
Okay. And the Nipmuc tribe is not federally recognized, but they are state recognized. Just to clear that up, they are a state recognized tribe.
So
I mean, you know, you were talking about federal stuff.
yeah,
About
well,
federal
this,
tribes. Nipmucs are recognized by the state, though perhaps not federally. And at any rate, that raises the question of what race has to be federally recognized anyway. I'm a Sicilian. I don't have to go to the federal government for them to tell me that I'm Sicilian. So we as white people need to question that in the first place. Anyway,
well,
thank
I'm
you.
I'm not a white person, by the way.
Well,
Please, let's not
your
use the
skin-
category of we here.
yes, I know, Henry, but your skin tone tells otherwise, as does
Skin
mine.
tone is nothing, my friend. My brother is darker than most Indians.
Mm,
It's all about the genetics and what comes through.
that's
but
true. I
that's-
have a sister who is very dark-skinned, but I'm just saying that in a society, you and I would be looked at as white people. We would. We
Well,
would,
that's not what
Henry.
that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about
No, what we're talking about is federally recognized races. You're talking
No.
about the Nipmucs not being federally recognized as a race of people.
well,
No,
the-
I
And
don't
I'm
think
saying-
I don't think that's what he was saying. I think that what he was saying, Mary Lou, is
Ah.
that if you're
Ah.
not federally recognized, the National Historic Preservation Act would not assist in helping a tribe have consultation with the project, the planning board,
Ah.
solar developers. If
Okay.
Section 106 was going to be invoked, Section 106 only applies to federally recognized tribes. So
Okay.
what Lise has emphasized over again, and I am following her guidance because I am not an expert at this, is that the
Right.
more the merrier in terms of Native voices, because there is no one single Native voice. But we can show respect by welcoming and inviting the Nipmuc tribe to participate out of respect for
Right.
the fact that this was probably their territory. And I think we've
Mhm.
done that. But also recognizing that there are regional federal tribes that also have kinship ties to this area and have legitimate
Right.
claims to participate in thinking about
Right.
ceremonial stone landscapes. And so it's
Right.
not an either or, I think it's a both. And
Sure, Mary, I'm saying something a little even beyond all this. Why say it's a mind boggle to me that a race of people, that a group of people have to be recognized as so by the federal government. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Well, yeah,
And to say that Nipmucs are not recognized by the federal government, to me, I felt like maybe it's being said they're not so important or they're not or whatever.
No.
That's
well,
my own,
let me respond, please.
yeah, that's my own interpretation. They are state recognized, and we as people of European descent, we as viewed upon as white people, need to question that. That's
can-
all.
Okay, we can question that, and it's been questioned forever and ever. Yes.
It's
And this,
ridiculous. Yeah.
and it's become sort of a white person's burden at this point.
See?
Yeah, but you know, the reality is the reality. Let me just put it out there. Let me just put it out there because a lot of people I've talked to agree with my interpretation of this, and it goes back to ever since I became aware of these issues, and that is that you know, there is a really powerful sense in which the colonial process has created an environment in which native peoples, whether they be here or there, South America, North America, have become divided and conquered. Yes, they're all scattered everywhere. The state has, in a way, created the conditions wherein, especially in this country, they have to constantly police the boundaries of their group. Yep, and that's because of political survival. They need to survive politically, and you know, they depend on, you know, that identity in order to claim their rights.
Wow.
But at the same time, there's a lot of division politically. There's a lot of competition around this. You know, who is inside, who's outside. Obviously, a condition that is, how should we say, historically determined, because you start looking around, most native people, right? Most native people are of mixed ancestry. They're not, you know, pure native. There's very few instances of that. So there's a politics around what it means to be native. There's a politics and very defensive kind of quality to this thing. So you know, Nipmucs will claim, oh, we have nothing to do with this, and we don't recognize you or that. But this is par for the course. That's why it's very difficult to navigate this world of native politics. That's why it's very important to find folks who have been able to do that, you know, with some success, have been able to talk, you know, communicate, serve as go-betweens, yes? So that
Mhm.
it's not just about, oh, I'm with this group, not that group. Yeah. And that's why I think we started, I think, with Lise in a way, because she's had that experience, or at least, and many tribal groups have put their trust in her to some degree. But it's not the end of the story, obviously. We intend to be as inclusive as possible. Anyway, I went too long on that.
No, I think that's good,
John-
Henry. Thank
John
you.
had a hand up.
Well, yeah, yes, John. Yeah.
Okay. I have to recover. I'm feeling really hypnotized by this whole thing. It's all very interesting, but you're talking to the wrong people. You need to be talking to the people that, from the public, we got an email from a person, public involvement, and that email needs to be answered. Okay. And you don't need to convince me. Okay. You need to, somebody, the head, that's what the chair is for, is to reach out to this person and either calm him down or explain things, or before we proceed, we need equanimity. All right. And that's, I can't say it any other way. We can't proceed without peace. All right. I'm not going to just steamroll this. I'm going to vote no. I mean, unless I know that there's been some kind of resolution regarding this email. We got an email from the public. It needs to be addressed. And that would be courtesy from any committee. And I think it's very important in this case that this person, I don't know him, what's his name, Jim, understands that Lise McLaughlin is not a threat, that Lise McLaughlin is somebody he can talk to, that Lise McLaughlin is going to reach out to him at some point during the process, whatever, okay, before we can go ahead. And that would be really good to do that before January 5th when we're going to meet on talk about the contract.
I
I'm
think
gonna need
I need
some
to
assurance
correct you
that
on
this,
something there.
I need some assurance that this person has been, I don't know,
Addressed.
this concern has been
Oh,
addressed.
yeah, no. I think that's been proposed, and I've already thought about writing a letter to James. But I want to correct you on something. Lise McLaughlin is not going to do anything on her own. Lise McLaughlin is going to do what we tell her to do,
Well, whatever. Okay. The point
Yeah.
is, we got this from the public. We need to have it smoothed over before we can proceed. Not just answered in a letter, but you need to have a discussion with this person and say, what can I do to make things right for you? Okay. And if that means one thing or that means something else, we have to be able to bring that in. Otherwise, we're just, making
good.
enemies, and that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to create public involvement, education, so forth, not to dissuade it.
I think we got a hand from Miriam, is it?
Well, we voted as a commission. I think the vote, I don't remember, the vote was what, 4 with 1 abstention. Maybe was that right? Because Karen wasn't there, to hire a lease. We're scheduled to meet January 5th in executive session to review her contract. If you reach out to Jim Kesh at Schilling, there will be no meeting that he could come to have a discussion with us before now and the time when we had agreed to finalize the contract. Your reaching out by email or talking to him personally is probably not going to resolve the issue. The issue is probably going to need to be his participating in some process with us. And we're not going to have any meetings between now and January 5th. Out of fairness to Lise McLaughlin, we need to be able to give her an answer tonight. She already called me before this meeting because she was concerned about what's going to be discussed. And out of fairness to her, I need to respond. So we can take a vote right now and see if we've changed our minds. And I understand we may not have a unanimous decision here. But we can't negotiate in good faith with people and allow a member of the public to veto it, John. I understand the concern about what Jim has raised, and I'm not dismissing his concerns. I'm just saying that we may never reach peace with one member of the public. That's outside of our control. We have to make decisions that we think are best for the community as representatives on the historical commission. We're not going to please everyone, but giving one person a power to stop this process when we've already deliberated and started it and voted on it is really a concerning process, because then anybody can call us up or email us and say, stop what you're doing, and we're going to stop everything that we're doing because somebody's unhappy. And we're not excluding this person. They're welcome to come, and we are going to invite them to participate. But I am very concerned about a process where we allow one individual to disrupt a process that we've been working on, frankly, for 3 years. I joined the commission in 2017, and we still haven't accomplished anything really of any substance. And we're not going to please everybody, but it's a start. And I would hope that maybe Jim and Rolf would come along and recognize that what we're doing is not a destructive process. We're trying to be respectful.
Like I said, I'm not the one you have to convince. Okay.
You're the one that votes, John, but you can vote however you want.
I vote,
but this person is not a member of Shutesbury. He's not a resident of Shutesbury. So yes, we should ask for their involvement because they have good background knowledge. They have a lot of information that would be very helpful to us. And I think they should be involved as much as they're able to be or willing to be. But there's a long, difficult history with the town and some of these individuals that aren't going to get resolved with one email. But yes, we can be open, we can ask for their input, but that doesn't mean it has to stop the process. We have a timetable here with things coming before the planning board.
Yeah, I think the bottom line really for me is that Lise McLaughlin just happened to be the person for the job at the right time.
Yeah.
You know? And that's not to say there aren't other people, but having assessed the options, that was the best call. You know, the folks that were recommended by Jim and Rolf are just not the right person at this time. They may be in the future involved in it, but not right now. So I'm not sure where that leaves us, but we do need to get back to Lise, I feel as well. You know, I'm not.
Could we have a motion to reaffirm or change our decision from last week?
Can we look back at the minutes and see what that decision exactly was? Because I don't have that in front of me.
It was to hire her and to pay her out of our funds.
Okay, so we're not voting not to hire her.
Well,
I don't feel comfortable negotiating a contract if we're not acting in good faith. I don't
feel comfortable proceeding unless we're acting in good faith.
Excuse me, I'm talking and you're interrupting me.
Yeah, well.
I've been negotiating with town council, with Henry, with Lise, with Becky Torres, trying to come up with a very detailed consulting agreement. Lise was required to get her own liability insurance. She has gone to some effort to get quotes. She is meeting with an attorney to run this agreement by an attorney. She's gone through a lot of work to come up with this agreement. And it's very, very concerning to me that I can't assure her that we are moving forward on our end.
Well, all we have to do is address this person's concerns.
I don't know how to address those concerns.
He has a letter, he has objections, and someone needs to just contact him, James Schilling Cutshot. and
Yeah,
talk him through this
I will,
process.
I will definitely contact him, John, but as Miriam mentioned, this is not going to be resolved through a letter. And we
No, I
don't
think we need
meet.
to talk to this person, actually talk to him. And he left his, I think he left his phone number. I'm not sure.
No,
All I'm saying is we
it's
need
not.
to, we
no,
need to make sure we calm the waters here.
No,
That's all I'm saying.
no. This person, if they want to be involved, they need to come to our meeting, and we don't meet until knows when. You know, we're not going to meet
No,
before
I
the 5th.
disagree. I don't
Does
think he needs
anybody,
to come to the meeting to be involved. He's already involved.
does
He wrote
anybody
us
have a
this letter
concern? Does,
with objections to our procedures,
right.
and our procedures are objectionable to him. So what are we supposed to do? Just keep going and ignore him? I'm not
Well, he
going
seems
there.
to be objecting that we didn't hire his husband.
Well, he's objecting, says UN Declaration of Rights on Indigenous People. He doesn't understand what we're doing. It's what I think is happening. I think he just doesn't understand. Someone needs to call him and explain how we're going to proceed. And I think if he understands what we know, then he'll back off and it'll be fine. But we can't
Mary
just
Lou,
ignore him.
Mary Lou, do you feel like you could have some role in this? I know you have a personal relationship with Jim and Rolf.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
If it would be so easy as just having a conversation, as you say, John, I'm a busy guy. I've had that conversation already. I've had that conversation with the primary individual here. It's not going to end there. Unfortunately, I can
Well,
tell
that's
you that right now.
That's the whole point. It's not going to end. Okay, it's just going to keep mushrooming and mushrooming. Okay,
But
so
we have a
I
mission.
propose that we vote, okay, to postpone contract negotiations until this is solved. This is resolved.
Look,
Do you want to
if
make a
you do
motion,
that,
John?
I'm
I make a
resigning.
motion that we vote, okay, to postpone contract negotiations and discussions until these waters are smooth.
Okay.
Anybody
Let me
second?
just respond to that. Look, going back on this with the person we've already given verbal
We're not
agreement,
going back, we're postponing.
I am resigning. Okay?
Fine,
And you can be chair, John.
fine.
Okay?
Well, that's an interesting development.
Well,
Henry, I hope you won't resign.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
honestly, as the only person on the commission who legitimately can claim a Native identity, it's kind of disturbing that you're being forced into this position.
Hey, I don't want hate mail. Okay, I don't want my name dragged
Well,
through the mud. I don't
hey,
want this to snowball with my name on it.
well, it goes
If
with
this is
being a
anything
public.
like what happened last time, we really need to stop and ask ourselves, why are we doing it this way? You know, why can't we get some of these people questions resolved?
Right.
That's
Well,
all I'm saying. They need to be contacted and talked to, and
Yeah.
it needs to be resolved.
Like I said, I don't believe it is really up to any one individual from this committee to talk to these people. I believe it should be the whole committee. It's not up to me to convince anyone of anything. The issue here is a committee, is a body that makes decisions. We've all made a decision. I can read the decision to you right now. We decided last time, we moved that the Historical Commission hire Lise McLaughlin and authorize me and Miriam to negotiate a consulting agreement with the understanding the funds would be drawn from the SHC donation account. The final terms of the agreement to be approved by the SHC. And we all voted aye with one abstention.
Henry, we've got a motion on the floor. We need to ask for a second.
Please.
Could you
remind me what-
repeat it?
Could you repeat
Yes,
that
yeah,
motion?
repeat the motion. Sorry, Miriam, I didn't,
Well,
I needed it
John, do you want to
repeated.
restate your motion?
Motion was to vote on to postpone contract discussions until this person's email gets addressed satisfactorily.
By
That's very-
whom? By whom? How would we define satisfactory, John? Because we should be very clear what would be a
Yeah.
satisfactory result.
Well, that he is agreeable to the process that we're undertaking. He understands it, and he agrees that it's a good process.
That kills it.
Well, if he's going to say, you know, I'm not going to go there, I just
All right,
think
do we
this
have a,
needs to
do we
be
have a sec,
addressed.
do we have a second?
A second.
So the motion I have is that we postpone contract negotiations until the complaints raised by James Cashett are resolved satisfactorily to his satisfaction.
To,
Or
That
could,
at
gets
least
could you say,
attempted. I mean, we need to reach out to him, is what I'm saying. We need to try our best to
mm,
Well, I
clear the
don't, again,
waters, you know?
could we just make this a motion that we could all agree on when that motion was actually satisfied? We need to have some sort of objective language here. So, because
it's a
Could you say
otherwise we don't know
subjective
how to
thing,
act on it.
I'm sorry, Miriam, could you say concerns raised?
Until his concerns are what? Satisfied, until he feels satisfied that his concerns have been resolved?
Until we as a commission resolve the concerns. So stated in the email of, and then you can give today's date.
But I'm saying, who determines that they've been resolved? Does James Cashett determine that, or do we determine it? I'm just trying to get the wording for the motion.
Certainly,
Well-
it has, mm,
We have to resolve it
until-
satisfactorily to ourselves. So either, you know, we can convince him that we're doing the right thing by him, or we can't convince him, but at least the email's being answered. You know,
Okay, so the motion is that you want to postpone contract discussion until the SHC determines that they've resolved it satisfactorily.
sure.
Determined it's, I got it right. It's been resolved satisfactorily by all parties. Is that what you want?
Well, determined by us, by the Historical Commission. Yeah.
Do you have a second?
a second.
Okay. Henry, you want to call the roll call?
Roll call. All who vote aye,
We have to go name by name.
name by name, yes, go around.
John Walter,
Just to get-
aye.
Just to get, sorry, to get clear, yes, an aye says we postpone the decision and a nay says we don't. We go as it is.
Mhm.
Good.
Nay basically means we don't have to respond to this email.
Miriam Defont, no.
No,
Well, who just said no?
no. A nay does not imply we do not respond. I'm going to
Correct.
respond
Correct.
anyway. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
going to respond.
Well, why didn't you just say so? I
Who
mean,
did?
I did.
well, you said you were going to write a letter, but that's not a discussion.
email.
That's not going to resolve anything. It's just going to provide your
That's-
opinion. You know, he could find that to be an additional insult. I mean, who knows? how he would
Look,
take a letter.
Send a letter to us.
Huh?
He sent a letter to us.
Mhm.
You know, isn't that reasonable to respond via the same medium?
In this case, I don't think so.
Mm.
You know,
Well, so much
we're in the middle,
history.
we're in the middle of a vote. We need to
Right.
conclude the vote.
Right.
And I'm losing track of who's done what. So Henry, what's your vote?
no.
Okay. John was an aye. I am a no. Greg,
I'm a no.
Janice,
No.
Mary Lou.
Aye.
So we have 4 no's and 2 ayes. so it doesn't pass.
Very good.
But Henry will reach out to Jim and invite him to discuss his concerns with us. And I
I-
certainly would urge any of you who have personal relationships with Jim and Rolf to feel free to use your own relationships to help improve the dialogue between community members and the Historical Commission.
I might follow up. Just occurred to me that I did reach out to Rolf about a month or two ago. Forget the date actually. I reached out to him. It wasn't the major focus of my. It wasn't the major intent of my email, but I did ask him about you know, any possibilities, any thoughts he might have about you know, this whole question of CSLs, and particularly in light of the fact that a lot of the momentum for this was lost because of Doug Harris's illness, and he did not address that question at all. Did you hear that, John?
Sorry.
Oh, you missed it.
Oh, you reached out to Rolf, you talked to Rolf.
Yeah, I talked to Rolf about the possibility of being involved in, you know, input into this process of CSLs. I wrote to him. He did not, I reiterate, did not have anything to say at the time. And of course, at this point, we are at the 11th hour. Decisions have been made, and now apparently he does have something to say.
Henry, did he respond at all?
Oh yeah, he did, because in actual fact, I was writing to him to let him know that I had actually defended him when the Nipmucs officially had outed him as being representative of the Nipmucs in any way whatsoever. I believe I sent you a copy of that letter, John.
Yeah, I got it. I read about it in the paper as well.
There you go. Well, as I said, I was defending him publicly because I know the politics of being native in this country. He agreed with me. He agreed that, you know, this is unfortunate, but people have to be defensive about their identities. And that's the most painful part of being a native person in this culture, is that they have to defend who they are, you know, whether it be through blood quotient or through some kind of thing. And so there's a lot of misunderstanding around that. And he agreed with what I had, my assessment of the politics, of the tribal politics in this country. But he did not, I say, he did not address the question of any input. He had nothing to say. Now he does, and I will respond, you know, but as I said, we're doing a lot of work here. It's not, this is not, you know, a hobby. It turns into work, believe me. If you do this right, there are lots of details. So let's not be derailed by individual concerns. You know, we're addressing the concerns of lots of other people who are native here as well. No, I think that I think is the point. It's trying to navigate this that's so difficult, and you see.
Like I said from the beginning, you don't have to convince me.
Right.
You know, I just want to reflect on how much conflict there appears to be here. And,
Mm,
you know, it's very unfortunate to me because I think I know some of you better than others, but I think we all share a common value set. I don't think we disagree in any kind of fundamental ways about what our end goals are, which is a remarkable thing given that there are 7 people on this commission and we have associate members as well, that we have that kind of agreement. And I wish we could hang on to that and not get hung up so much on, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying and what we're getting hung up on. I guess I would like us to find some pragmatic ways to get some things done. I was on the commission for a while before I dropped out. I left and came back, and I'm just kind of a person who really likes to get things accomplished. And I understand we can't do everything, but I'd like to see us do something.
may I say?
Yes.
Yes, Miriam, I don't want you to feel bad. I don't think we're in conflict. I think that this is healthy discussion. I think if you ever sat at my dinner table, you would be, like, voices get raised, questions get asked, people sort out. And I like to feel that that's what I'm part of this evening. Don't feel bad about it. You are, to me, showing something that I'm learning too, a professional extension of patience with people, like a real, it's a good thing. I just don't think that what we're doing this evening is conflict, conflict at all.
Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that, Mary Lou. I have been in a situation, I have been in some situations when I have received a lot of very negative emails in the past, and
Yes, I know.
I'm not going to get into the details of them. I think you were CC'd on quite a few.
I know.
And I understand how painful and upsetting it is, and I am trying to step back from my own personal reactions because I feel like we have an opportunity here to do something really valuable and important, and to correct some social injustices that I think we all kind of share the same concerns about. So I just hope we can kind of keep our eye on that.
Right. Well, it's been an exciting evening.
Again.
Let's put it that way.
Indeed.
And I look forward to continuing on and trying to see this through. So I want to appreciate everybody for hanging in. Anyway.
Should we review what's on our agenda for the 5th? And
yeah, why don't we do that? What do we got besides the contract, which we will deal with? Yeah.
I can give an update on communications with TIPOs, if there have been any.
All right.
And
Go for it.
no, I mean next week.
Oh, you mean next week? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mary Lou and I were hoping to provide you with some information on the signs, historic markers, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
What else have we got on the agenda there?
It says digitization archiving grants. Maybe we can continue that to the next meeting. I don't think we have anything pressing at this point to do on that one.
No.
I think. What?
Yeah. There have not been any planning board solar applications submitted yet.
That's good.
But I would expect that there's going to be one or more submitted in the near future.
And are you going to call it as an executive session for the discussion of the contract?
Yeah,
That was the idea.
Okay,
so we'll put that at the end, we'll put that at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
There is some work that can be done on the total picture of, documents.
Archiving.
Right. So we can talk about that more. Because other departments have done archiving of their own. So we can just talk about how maybe we can start searching the web for.
Yeah. Well, John, you and I talk about that together.
So we'll have an update
Did
on.
I ever share with you guys all my notes from doing research on this? I don't remember if I sent it to everybody or not.
Sure, you send a lot of emails.
I can't, I was looking for that in my document folder. Right? And
Okay.
So
I
Greg,
can
I'll
send
call
you.
you.
Would you like me to send the notes?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, to all of us.
And
I-
yes,
I like the idea that this roving archivist is free.
Mhm.
That there's not like another consultant situation we find ourselves in. That was a good thing. Yep.
Could I, talking about the agenda and our executive session, I did get a sample contract from Mark Andrews, the Wampanoag of Gehedequina Deputy Tipo, and we could review that in the executive session.
Okay.
Well, that'd be great.
Yep, comes fully approved by Bettina Washington.
Mm,
Good.
okay.
Well, I have a meeting at 7 with the CPC, so
Okay,
to wrap this up, I can feed my dog and move on.
Very good.
you will appreciate it.
Mm.
time for supper anyway. All right,
All
well, shall we call it a night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second,
Who
Sorry.
seconded?
Henry.
Okay.
Can we just do all in favor, say aye, or is that not?
Well, for this, I think we can.
I
Yeah.
think
Okay,
so.
so aye.
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 Yay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
all.
See you all.
Bye-bye.
All right.
All right.
Night.
Good night.
All righty, how do I do this?
Henry, can you give me a call when you can?
Yep.
Thanks. All right.